Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly collective reading. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is our first reading for October, so happy October everybody. And as you know, I always like to take a look at the next 7 days with all of you, and we'll basically empower you to make the best decisions that you possibly can. So if you're brand new, let me just give you a rundown of what's going on. Again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little furry guy behind me is Apollo, and the schedule for today is right here. We're going to begin with channeled messages, which is basically me connecting to my guides in various ways, through dreams, through meditation, and also through the research as I research all of the totems that I receive in the aforementioned, and then I'll share that with you. Then we'll get into the 7-day forecast where I pull 7 cards for the next week. And after that, we have a few different things that we like to look at, including a very popular piece, which is the elemental forecast. And during that portion, I'll look at some sign-specific messages. Everything else that you see here is good for everybody that's present. That's what collective means. We're all here together under the same energy, and we'll navigate together over this next week. The special topic this week is one that everybody had a chance to vote on, and it's a really great one. It's called No More Drama, and it's about releasing old cords and also any karmic energy that might be attached to you so that you can really enter into this next period of time free and clear and empowered. And it's really important, especially as we get closer to the end of the month, the 31st of October and November 1st, as we go through Halloween and Day of the Dead. The veil is very thin there, and if we can be clear and empowered at that point, that means that we can really kind of like an energy alchemist, make amazing things happen. The goal now is to put in the work so that at that point in time, we are absolutely like a shooting star going across the sky, okay? That's my goal for you anyway. All right, before we begin, just a couple of quick notes. If you enjoy what you see here, please hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow and it helps you stay in touch with me. If you've already done that, you can always hit the like at the beginning of every video. That helps also with engagement. And if you really want to make sure that you don't miss anything, hit the bell and choose all so that you never miss one of my future videos. Additionally, on replay, you can hit a comment. You can enter a comment below or use the share icon to let other people know that you enjoy the content here. All of these forms of engagement are important to the health of the channel, so thank you so much. You can also join me on social media. It's always my full name, @Nicholas Ashbaugh, and that's on all major platforms except for Twitter, which is @Ashbaugh. A quick note, because someone here on YouTube popped up pretending to be me, if anyone offers you a product or service or asks you to join some other platform like WhatsApp or something of that nature, it's not me. I don't offer private readings, and the only way to engage with me is here on YouTube when I'm doing one of these live feeds, or if I happen to pop on either Instagram or TikTok live on an official channel and it's me talking, you know it's me. Otherwise, disregard it, report that person, and stay safe. If you do want to show love and support here on my channel, you can do it through official channels like super stickers, super chat, super thanks, or memberships. And all of that you can access here in the chat window below. All right, let's get straight into your channeled messages. As I said, it came through in triplicate today. The mouse is something that I met in real life or experienced in real life. Honey came through in a meditation, and climbing came through in a dream, or kind of hanging from a cliff, and we'll talk about the cliffhanger in just a moment. All right, so let's begin first with the mouse. And the mouse to me is a really interesting totem because it's sort of like, it's a very sneaky, a very survival-oriented totem, but it also carries with it some things where we have to pay attention to it. So let's learn a little bit about the animal, and then we'll learn about how that's going to apply to the next 7 days. So mice are omnivorous. They usually consume things like grains, fruits, and seeds. However, in houses, you'll also see them gnawing on things that they use for nesting. So that could be what we would normally think of as inedible materials like electrical wiring or cardboard boxes and paper. They're very nocturnal, so we're usually not going to see them. They'll be scurrying around at nighttime. And all of that sort of destructive energy that they do, like I said, it's basically a result of the nesting habits. They live and breed in dark places, and usually they're places that we wouldn't go. To me, that is the most important piece of this totem that we need to pay attention to, which is basically that they're inviting us to look, just like the moon card, at things that we otherwise wouldn't. Maybe because we're afraid, Maybe because we prefer not to look at it because it's easier to avoid things that are uncomfortable. But no matter what, because of that sort of gnawing energy that is associated with the mouse, we have to pay attention to it, okay? So this week, if there's something that you've been putting off, something that has been kind of eating at your energy from the background, where it's sort of like a voice in your head or just this gnawing feeling that you need to do something, that's why the mouse came through. So I heard a mouse, and that's how I connected with it. And it has a very sort of distinct sort of like almost like an electrical beep when it peeps, and it's this very high pitched sound. And so the frequency actually is high, and it's trying to help us elevate our energy. But if we don't pay attention to it, then things can get a little crazy. So the moon card, just like Apollo's kind of digging at things, is reminding us to like lift up the rock, the metaphorical rock, and see what's underneath. And dig and find out like anything that we don't know. Basically, it's education and information is the number one way to empowerment. So thanks for that message, Apollo. We appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to the next card here, learn a little bit more about this. All right, so rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. The energy of the tower is definitely connected to the mice because they are destructive forces. A lot of times they're in the walls or in crevices, and they're chewing and gnawing at different things. Like I said, wires, foundation, paper. You have to deal with them. So if something is coming up that you haven't dealt with, this is the week, this is the time. And when you are in control, or when you're moving with the energy of change, then you basically have the ability to mold and reshape. So anything is possible. When you ignore the tower, you become beholden to its energy. Much better to ride the wave, much better to ask questions, much better to try to work with it. So if there's also anything in your life that needs to be tidied up, this is also the week to do that. So that could be words that are left unsaid with someone. There could be a contractual agreement where you've been dragging your feet. This is the time to finish what you started. There could also be something that's just in disarray and you don't feel good about it. So as uncomfortable as it may be, again, going back to the moon card, have that face-to-face communication. Talk about something. Bring it out into the light. That's basically what the moon wants to do, is to illuminate, to allow you to reflect upon it. And then the tower comes through to help you change it. So in effect, the mouse is actually a very powerful totem. It's saying, I may not make a lot of noise, but I can cause a lot of trouble if you don't deal with me. So proactive energy is always better than reactive, and cooperative energy when it comes to the tower is always better than resistance. And those are the main messages that this particular totem is bringing through. The other piece has to do with the voice. Like I said, it's actually a high-pitched sound, so there is something beautiful about it, but it's soft. And so one thing that you want to do this particular week is to focus on when and where to speak up, and to also listen to your higher voice, to your intuition. If there's something that you kind of just are quiet about, it's going to be very hard for you to make an impact. So Queen of Swords is the choice here because she may not talk all the time, but when she speaks, her words are clear, the impact is distinct, and then she holds her peace. So it's not about even how loud or how often you speak, but when you speak, make it count. And I think that's the important thing. And listen to intuition, because sometimes intuition speaks more as a whisper, or it comes through as the voice in our heads. So just like that little mouse, there's something coming through this week, and each one of you is going to know what that represents. There's something to deal with, whether it's action to take, a problem to solve, or a mess to clean up. There's something that's going to benefit from your attention this week. Okay? Let's move on to honey. We talk a lot about different pollinators, especially honeybees here, but not always about the actual byproduct that they create, the honey. So I wanted to focus on that a little bit today. It came through in meditation, and the way that it came was I was thinking about what made things stick in your life, particularly when it came to karma, and the message that Spirit came through and showed me was like, talk about honey. So honey is kind of like liquid gold, at least from the perspective of a bee. And it's because of how much energy it takes for them to make even a very small piece of this. So like 1/12 of a teaspoon, it takes one honeybee worker their whole lifetime to make that small of an amount of honey. And an ounce of honey would be enough to fuel bees' flight around the world, which is amazing. A pound of honey is made by 2 million flower visits, and the bees have to go 55,000 miles back and forth to make that honey. So again, there's a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of life force that goes into just one drop of honey. So honey as a totem represents it's kind of interesting. It's sort of like the strange balance between the fact that our soul is infinite. We've lived many, many lifetimes, but this lifetime does have a finite end and beginning. As such, what we choose to do with each minute of each day is like those drops of honey. And we don't often think about it that way. A lot of times we're looking at our watch and we're wishing the day away. A lot of times we're wishing the week away, or we're wishing that a birthday would go away. We're always kind of hiding from or trying to speed up or rewind time. The truth is, you're right here, right now. Thank you for spending this drop of time with me. I think it will be valuable and I think you'll get a lot out of it. But I want you to focus on what you see in this illustration. The Six of Pentacles is the perfect card to meditate on and to kind of use as your key as you're looking at how to spend the time. You could also think of the old Egyptian idea of measuring the heart and the feather. Each choice that you make, is it making the heart heavier or is it making it lighter? We want it to be as light as a feather. So you should be looking at things that enlighten you, that inspire you, that make you feel like that was totally worth it. And if there's anything going on this week that isn't 100% worth your time and energy, like that drop of honey, think about how much you're putting into it and why. And this is a chance to redirect. So even building off the energy that the mouse was giving us with the moon card and the tower, it's saying, look at something you don't want to look at, change it, and now spend and act and sort of direct your life differently because of that. Pretty powerful when you think about it. And the cool thing with honey is, again, it's that sticking factor. So if you make a change now, it has an ability to stick. You have the ability to stick with it, and it can actually make a lasting impact. All right, let's move on to the next totem. We're going to now take a look at that cliffhanging energy that I saw in dreams. Basically, the way that this was built up was I saw you walking with a guide toward a mountain. And somewhere along the line, the two of you decided to take different paths. And this was a winding road. It wasn't necessarily an easy sort of path. And somehow you found yourself at a cliff, and you were almost able to lift yourself up and you were starting to waver. And this is when the universe came through and said, I can't lift you up, but you can lift yourself up. You can do this. So the Nine of Wands was the perfect representation of this, because when you're very close to completion of a goal, of a task, sometimes when you're even faced with that last push, fatigue can set in, doubt can set in, and all of the sort of inner voices and inner vices can kind of come through and try to hold you back. The universe said you could do this. You felt like you could do it as I was connecting with you. It's just that extra kind of push. So for anyone that's had to do that in physical education or physical therapy, or if you've even tried like a different yoga pose and you're pushing your body, you know what I'm talking about. You have this moment where you break through and you're like, wow, I did this. I actually can physically overcome a mental fear or doubt, and somehow my body found the strength even when my mind didn't think I could get there. So that's the message here, is you might be waiting for someone to lift you up. You might be wishing that you didn't get yourself into a situation. You might be wondering, can I get over this edge? You can. You absolutely can. And you can do it on your own. You can ask for help if you would like, but the main message from the universe is you've got this. And you don't need that extra hand unless you want it, okay? So for some of you, this is because this is your first time doing something independently, or because you're worried about how you might be perceived, or there's just a mental block entering in, and the universe really sees the value and the strength, even, as I would say, especially when you don't, okay? So I've been there. I understand what it's like to have that feeling, and I am encouraging you to push through, and so is the Nine of Wands. We see the bandage on the Nine of Wands, which means there's been easier days, there's been easier times, but this person isn't going to give up because they see the finish line, and I hope you do too, okay? Beautiful messages, I have to say, overall that came through today. A lot of them about survival and perseverance, listening to things and making a difference, which is always important. All right, if you just joined, we're getting into the 7-day forecast, which is going to take us from Sunday to Sunday, so perfect timing. And I'm going to be using a new deck, actually, that some of you recommended to me. This is Tarot of Mystical Moments. I'll make sure that I have that on my website in case you're interested in picking it up. Thank you to the suggestions. I had more than one person over the past few months suggest it. So we'll be using that for the next 7-day forecast here. And so without any further delay, let's go ahead and begin shuffling and seeing what's coming through. All right. So again, this is going to take us from today to next Sunday. And this is for everyone that is present. Sunday. The only thing with this deck is there's a little bit of a gloss on it, so let's see how this works here. But we got the Devil card there for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and next weekend. Next Saturday and Sunday. All right, let me just arrange these, and don't worry if you can't see some of these because of the gloss. As I pull the cards up, we'll clarify all of those. All right, let's begin with today's card. We have the Devil reversed, and if I'm going to pull the Devil card, I'd rather get it reversed, just like the Tower. This is a really cool illustration of the Devil because we see the spider webs all around this person, and actually someone coming through as not necessarily someone that they truly are. So deception, basically, right? The key thing here is that you have a choice. Do you want to get caught up in someone else's energy? Do you want to fight someone else's battle? Do you want to enter into territory that you know is going to cause trouble down the line? Of course, the answer to all of these is rhetorical. It's no. This is not the time to fight other people's battles, to get involved in their drama, or to take the bait. Listen to those little vibrations that you would if you were the spider connecting with that web, and decide early on, like, this isn't worth it. I know exactly where this goes, and I know what this person is trying to do, okay? So when it comes to a person in your life, I feel like this is going to be a very clear indication of who to follow and who not to follow. Probably someone has done something in the past where it's just a repetitive cycle. And so this is a chance to clear it. So whenever I see this card in a spread, one of the ways that you can overcome, transmute, or release the energy of the Devil reversed is by doing this. So in your affirmation, prayer, or meditation today, you can identify the block, identify the area that could trap you or kind of pull you in a space that you don't want to be, and you can say, "Thank you, universe, for identifying this, for giving me this lesson. It no longer serves me. I release it, and I release myself." And you don't have to worry about doing anything with this. When you release the energy that's attached with the Devil, it will reattach to something else. It's laid out this sort of snare or trap for somebody else to fall into. This isn't your lesson anymore, and that's the main message with today. The Devil reverse is also a card of sobriety, of coming clean, telling the truth. It's basically saying, I don't want this to stand between me and you anymore. Let's get this out in the open, okay? So this is a great day for all of those things. So honesty, transparency, coming clean, and avoiding anything that brings you into that energy of old habits, okay? So we're walking away from old habits and we're setting a clearer, cleaner course. And that's the main thing for today. This is probably a better energy. I would say whenever we have the Devil reverse, it's a good day for introspection and self-work rather. And so today I would really focus on doing things that help you build yourself up. And that may mean that you're going to do a little bit less with other people. So that's fine. There could also be a revelation energy that's coming through. Someone could show their true colors, and in that case, you have to deal with them one-on-one. But otherwise, focus on you, focus on your well-being, and you're going to be setting the energy in the right direction for the week ahead. All right, let's focus on what's coming through for Monday, and it's actually quite nice. So we have the Ace of Cups, abundance and joy and creativity all coming through. The most important thing on Monday is the idea that you're going to enter it with an open heart. An open heart will allow for an open mind. It's also going to be this beautiful magnetic energy. Today, on Sunday, when we're looking at it, the one block that could be getting in the way of that? Is this something's holding you down or holding you back? You want to clear that energy. So on Monday, you have an open heart, you're open to receiving. I always like to think of cups in particular as like satellite dishes. The Ace of Cups being the biggest possible satellite, saying, yes, I'm open to that. Yes, thank you. Maybe it's a compliment that someone's giving you. It could be an invitation. Someone could be asking you out. It's typically quite good. If we look really closely at this illustration, we see butterflies. So this is showing a change in the way that you view yourself, a change in the way that your heart works with other people. Something's going to be different this time. And if you've been with someone contractually or in a relationship where you've been mistreated or not appreciated, this card is saying that cycle has come to a close if you're willing and ready to let it come to a close. On Monday, the energy is supporting things like meeting up with people. This is a great card for hanging out with friends, for going on a date, for having a business meeting. It's also a really good day to put things out into the universe for other people to receive. So put your heart into it, put your best effort forth, and people are more likely to receive it. There's another Ace of Cups out there, which makes what? The Two of Cups. So be open to sending and receiving. Be positive and be open-hearted as you enter into the day, and all of these things are gonna portend positive results. The other thing here is to really be creative and express yourself. This isn't a day to kind of clamp down and sit in the background. So make sure that you speak your mind and your heart as well. All right, so by and large, a very good beginning of the week. All right, let me just center these so you can see them a little bit better. All right, so now as we move on to Tuesday, we have the Knight of Cups in reverse. So there could be an offer or an opportunity put on your plate, but you have to decide, look at how she's holding her heart. How does this feel to me? Remember what we were talking about in our totem today, like the honey, basically. Every moment is like a drop of that honey. Is it worth the time and energy? Is it worth that liquid gold? So that's your time, that's your love, that's your attention, that's the mental real estate that it's taking up. So Tuesday is a day of contemplation, consideration. You've been given the offer on Monday. You've been opening up to opportunities on Monday. And on Tuesday, you're sitting with that and thinking, how do I feel about it? I love that this is atop of a lotus blossom, because I've talked before about how beautiful lotus blossoms are. Basically, they have to push through many levels of darkness and murkiness to get to the surface. So the energy that was associated here with the Devil card is now through, and you are in this sort of beautiful opening energy. So listen to your heart, make sure that it sounds and feels good to you, and if it does, great. If it doesn't, then this is your chance to revisit it and say, this is what it's going to take. And don't be afraid to ask for it, because we do see this sort of restrictive energy midweek here, the Four of Pentacles, which can be holding back or holding on to something. So you have a chance to avoid that on Tuesday, and I would do that. So what I've said before, and I've experienced in my life recently, is if you don't ask, you never will know. But if you ask, you might be surprised what's possible, especially if you give someone valid reasons, enough notice, enough sort of understanding of why it is important for you to have something or do something. They'll open up their heart to you as well. You have to try. All right, focusing on midweek. This is probably the most important and pivotal day here. The Four of Pentacles is your chance to release, truly release. We see someone stuck. This is a beautiful card because we see them being comfortable, because the house and home represents something that's comfortable. But if you look really close, we see the locks on that gate. So a traditional Four of Pentacles would show that one coin really close to your heart, and the illusion that this is as good as it gets. That as long as I stay in this energy, I'll be okay. Or that if I let go of this, suddenly I won't get more. So this, as I like to say, is the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg. It is not a limit. It is not the end. It's just the beginning. So you have the ability today to open that gate and open yourself up to receive more. And if you've been selling yourself short, which can sometimes happen with the Four of Pentacles, basically you overextend yourself, you work too many hours, You never ask for the support you need. Instead, you just kind of burn yourself out. This is not a sustainable thing. Once in a blue moon, we do this because we want to. But if it's something that happens all the time, then it becomes something that holds you down or holds you back. So you're going to break that energy on Wednesday and say, this is all I can do, or I need help with this, or you're going to basically advocate for yourself and say, I've been doing so much here that I need this in order to continue. It is going to involve the voice. So this would be the day where that Queen of Swords energy that I had in the channel message is going to be important. And you can practice finding the right words, practice just how it sounds with someone else, write it out if you need some notes. All of that can be helpful in overcoming the Four of Pentacles. All right, so Thursday, we actually see movement happening, which is exciting. So the Seven of Wands can be a pushy card. It can also be a card where you're able to make something happen. When this comes through and it's just like things being thrown at you, this is a very cool card because it tells me that anything that you put your mind to, you can do. We actually see him breaking free of the prison bars here. The bars that we actually saw with the Four of Pentacles here, they're now becoming opened up. And he's doing it through sheer will and strength and pushing. So the 7 and the 9 of Wands are equally good at pushing through mental block, emotional block, or even a logistical block around you. One thing that you can do is, again, this is where working smarter is more important. The 7 of Wands can do everything and anything, but it is a card that is best utilized when you say, you know what? I really want to focus on this. Can you help me with this? Or today I can do this many things. Is that okay? Otherwise, I'm going to have to let something go. So you talk about scope, you talk about priorities when this card comes up with other people. And that's basically what those words mean. It's just sort of like, you can't do everything. What's the most important? And usually with the 7 of Wands, there's the ability to push back and say not yet, or not now, or not ever. You get a choice in kind of what you want to do. And it's a strengthening card because ultimately when you push a little bit, you're able to grow as a person and you find this ability to realize, like, I don't have to make everybody happy. I love that the word love is on his chest there. And he's basically showing, I love myself enough to make this boundary, to say no. Really, really cool card, actually, and a great way to show that it's important to push back. All of this week is setting you up for the beautiful energy here that's coming through on the week, not on the weekend, but on Friday here. We have the Wheel of Fortune coming through. All of these things have come together. We see all the cogs, all of these things, and you're sitting at the top. We have that heart as well being a part of this. But you're sitting atop of this and finally things have come into focus. So this is the card of realization. If you've been working really hard to get something approved, this is the approval. If you've been trying to get someone to pay attention to you, they're finally paying attention to you. This can also indicate signing of a contract, big movement when it comes to something that was stuck. This is the best day for negotiation and the best day for business, bar none. It's also a really good day for you to plan. So if you've been feeling limited because of what we saw here, there could have been an actual limit in the past. You might be holding on or thinking that that limit is a permanent sort of thing. But what you realize is, if I follow my heart, if I push back a little bit, all of a sudden I've started to open up some new things in my life. That's what Friday's starting to reveal, is that you have the capacity to open the gate, to tap into some more resources, and to make things happen. Let's take a look at the weekend. We have 9 of Pentacles and 2 of Wands. Fantastic energy. So really, starting on Thursday, it's a whole new energetic cycle that I see starting for you. The old cycle ends around midweek, and then we see something new coming through. Let's begin with next Saturday. So 9 of Pentacles is wonderful. I mean, when we take the Wheel of Fortune, this is basically sustaining that energy. You have more than enough. The one thing with this is it's fiercely independent. So when the card is reversed, it's saying, remember to be open. There could be someone that wants to come in and help you out. There could be a way to get something done faster or more efficiently. even though what you're doing is working, there's always room for improvement. And when this card is reversed, stubbornness can sometimes separate that ability to move past something. So try not to be stubborn. There's also a reminder, even though we don't see it here, that it takes time to get to this Nine of Pentacles moment. We see her here just sort of with all the fruits of the labor. I'm going to pull the traditional card while we are talking to remind us of a couple of things. First of all, those fruits come from a tree, and it takes time for that tree to grow. In the traditional card, we also see a snail. The snail represents also that slow and steady movement. And if for some reason you want it to happen overnight, this card is reminding you that good things come to those who wait, who work, and like Apollo, again, sort of are willing to roll up their sleeves and dig in. All right, so here's the traditional Nine of Pentacles with all the elements that we're talking about. There's the tree or the bush that took time to grow. There's a little snail. And again, those fruits that we see in the hat here on this person, it took time to harvest them. And so we need to look at the traditional card to remember not everything happens overnight. Maybe some of what's frustrating you is that you're comparing your work, your results with someone else's, and you never know kind of all of the ins and outs of how they got to where they are. So you're tracking exactly where you need to be. So just take your time and be smart about that. All right. This is a great day to focus on more energy around resources. Anything that you put your time or energy into, it's going to be worth it. It may take a little bit longer, but it's still going to happen. We start to see some new ideas coming through as we look at 7 days from now, next Sunday. So we have the Two of Wands here, which is a perfect card to couple up with the High Priestess or the Magician. It's saying, I see myself doing this. I know I can do this. I'm open to receiving. And then the universe starts to show you how to get this done. This is also a card of dreaming, and it's reminding you to reach for the stars. That's why we see her on the roof, and always looking at a smaller version of the earth, a globe. It's making your sort of ability to create, it's actually putting you in the shoes of the creator, if you will. It's saying you have the whole world right there in front of you in your hands, and all you have to do is allow for the vision to start to manifest. We limit ourselves sometimes with what's possible. We think, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not experienced, I'm overexperienced. You worry about what it might be like if you succeed or if you fail. And this card is saying, just see the vision, be the vision, let the world kind of catch up to all of that, okay? So think really big, put all of this stuff on paper. It's a great day if you want to work with someone with respect to planning. Yeah, absolutely. Sunday is a good day to do that. And I know not everybody works on a Sunday. I do, but not everybody works on a Sunday, but it's a great day to lay the groundwork. So even if it's not a normal work day, it's going to be very productive for you. So spend some time sketching things out, writing things down, or typing them up. You'll be so happy that you did some of the initial planning on Sunday, and you're going to benefit because of that. So a quick review, and then we'll move on to the next portion. Again, looking at today, this is a day to release limits, to be honest, to be transparent, and not to get snagged up in someone else's trap or snare. You see it a mile away, and you know that that's not what you want to do. Monday is all about opening up to the opportunities and seeing what's in front of you. The more receptive you are, the more open you are, the more other people are equally as open and receptive. Looking at Tuesday, we have Knight of Cups in reverse. This is about being kind to yourself, doing anything that you need to heal, and also making sure that your heart feels whatever it is that you're going to engage in next. Wednesday is that pivotal day where you're going to decide, I am not stuck here. This is the beginning. This is the foundation. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is not as good as it gets. And then you start to push through that energy on Thursday. Delegation is key. Doing less is key. Remember that this is a day where you love yourself enough to say no, to push back, and other people respect you because of that. Everything comes together on Friday. This is the day for contracts, major negotiations. Anything that you need to do with money is going to be better supported on Friday. Even things with, I would say, legal, business, money, all of that. Save it till Friday if you can. Thursday's okay, Friday's better. Saturday is still very good for money and for business. You may be a little impatient. Remember what we talked about. Don't be. And then a day of planning as we look at next Sunday. All right, the next portion of this reading is going to be blessings and blocks, things to really embrace, things maybe to avoid. So let me go ahead and rearrange all of the cards on the table to give us a little bit more room, and we'll see what's coming through with respect to this. All right. So blessings and blocks. Let's use the Sun and Moon deck for this and see what's coming across for the next week ahead. So for the blessing, we have the Chariot. And for the block, we have, again, Nine of Pentacles, which is really interesting. Also reverse. Always love it when we get a synchronicity with respect to the cards. So let's talk about these. The blessing is wonderful, actually. The Chariot card is showing me that many of you have worked on the ability to take the reins and say, this is the direction that I want to take, or this is what I want to do. And it's hard sometimes for us to find that energy within, but this is the thing that's going to help you open doors. So speaking up, having a point of view, sharing that point of view without apologies and without attitude, that's the key to the Chariot. It's just saying, this is what I think about this, or I feel really passionate about this, or let's try this, or we need to talk about this. Whatever it is that you need to say or do, you're willing and ready to take the initiative, and that's going to pay off in ways that you wouldn't even expect, okay? The Chariot card is also kind of just an everyday management card. So, it's not the CEO, it's not the lowest rung of the ladder, it's in the middle. And it can represent the importance and the necessity for you to look at how you're managing all aspects of your life. So just like a manager would oversee operational energy in your life, take a look at your money, take a look at your health, take a look at all other expenditures, like I said, the time and the energy that you're spending with people, and really pull those together. Decide where you stand. And you're the one, just like we saw, like pulling yourself up over the cliff, you're the one that's going to push yourself to higher ground this week. And you have the capacity to do it. Spirit saw it, I see it, and I hope you see it now with this card. Okay? Moving on to the block for this week, we have again Nine of Pentacles in reverse. And with the Nine of Pentacles, there is this feeling that sometimes it's like you and only you that can do it, or there's only one way to do it, or accepting help somehow makes you weaker. None of these things are true. There's more than one way to do it. Bringing in help or additional resources could help you get something done faster and or better. So staying as open as you can while still being the boss, if you will, is going to be the important. And that's basically it. The ability to listen actually makes a good leader, right? And I've talked before about this ability for a sunflower to follow the sun. Heliotropic, I think, is what the word is for that. And so with that, remember, you're still leading the charge. Even when good leaders listen, they do research, and they admit when they don't know something. And when you are able to do all of those things and then show people how to react and plan and figure things out, then they're going to model that behavior. So you are the one that sets the pace, that sets the tone, and others will follow. So just show good example of leadership and trust in that, okay? I've always really admired leaders that are humble, that will come back and say something like I just did, which is, that's a great question. I think we need to do some research before we make a decision. I'm not certain yet, but I can get a lot more sort of certainty by tomorrow. So give me some time and I'll get back to you on that. You can always ask for time. It's much better to do that than to make a split decision without being prepared and then have to double back. It's just messier, and it takes a lot more time and energy in the long run. Okay? So that was your blessing and block for the week ahead. Now let's get into the elemental forecast, where we're going to take a look at all 4 elements and the 3 signs under each of those elements. So I'm going to use the Luna deck, which is an Ethereal Visions redesign, and we'll take a look and see what messages are coming through for that. All right, so let me pull the cards first, and then we'll break down each sign and each message. All right, starting first with fire, earth, air, and water. All right, let's see what's coming through for each of you now. All right, so let's begin with my fire signs. Fire signs, you got the Four of Cups in reverse. And the Four of Cups in reverse is a chance to see things from another angle. It's also saying, you know what I'm looking for may be right here in front of me. I just need to be open to seeing it from a different perspective. And we got that when we were talking about the Knight of Cups, which came through on Tuesday. So I think that for all of my fire signs, Tuesday is going to be a pivotal day, but all week, I would say you have this chance to just think, what if it works out? Or what if I try this? Or maybe if I just tune in, I could see someone or something that's been here all along. This is saying don't overlook the obvious and don't be afraid to ask for external input as well. This is a common theme this week, is being open and listening and considering those different things. The other thing is comparing your life to others is not a very fruitful thing. And I've talked about this already, but you're exactly where you need to be. And the universe was showing me that cliffhanger moment. I believe if you just pull yourself up and look up there, you're going to be surprised. Something's already waiting for you. There's either an extra push or pull that you need to do, or it's sitting there ripe and ready for the picking. And it's really up to you to do something about that right now. So recalibrating, staying open, and considering that it's either easier or right there or something different than you thought. It's coming through in a different package, but it's still coming through. I always look at the ace that's on this card, and it's basically like if you open your eyes, you'll see the ace. So, and the other thing that we have to look at also is Monday. Monday's when the ace could come through. And it's different. It's changed. Something's changed. If you can change as well, then you can kind of take in that abundance that we saw with that ace card. All right, so Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, stay open. Tune in to different frequencies and different thoughts, and you might be able to come up with a different solution or a better outcome than if you had just sort of like stayed that same path that you'd always worked on, okay? And let me see if there's anything else that I want to look at here. The other thing is it's okay to experience a disappointment or a setback. I always see that also as a chance for you to listen to your inner compass. Whenever we are experiencing a delay or something doesn't happen the way that we thought, I always like to imagine that the universe is aligning that perfect opportunity for you. And the delay is actually making sure that you're right here synchronistically at the right time. So just consider that everything's being set up and you just have to be awake, aware, and present. All right, so that's my messages for all of the fire signs. Let's go from fire to earth and look at Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. For you, we have the Nine of Swords in reverse. And so this is really about working at stress reduction, working at making sure that you've allowed for enough time and TLC for yourself, because what happens sometimes if we are overworked or overexerting ourselves is sometimes the worst comes out. We end up, speaking before thinking. We sometimes miss the positive aspect of something and focus on the negative. And the thing with the Nine of Swords is it's typically not as scary as it seems. If we look really closely at this card, we can see all of these other voices and all of these other energies kind of taunting her. So the main thing that you want to do is to focus on saying, yes, I feel this way, but I know in my heart of hearts that it's not necessarily that. I understand where my triggers are. I understand what I've done to create this situation. And even though it may be a little uncomfortable, a little scary, I might be worried about this, I can do this. And that's the common theme for everybody, is you can do this. Focus on getting enough rest. Talk to people about what it is that makes you scared or nervous. And know that it's normal for everybody to feel a little bit of anxiety or butterflies, especially when they're invested in the outcome. You want to transmute that into inspiration to do your best. And then remember that sleep, relaxation, and just basically taking a leap of faith at the end of all of this is what's going to be necessary. Focus on what you're doing before you go to bed. Are you drinking caffeine? Are you consuming media that is stressing you out? Are you talking to someone that's putting a lot of burdens on your shoulder? If so, you want to walk away from those sorts of things right now. So proper self-care for my earth signs is the most important thing this week, and particularly when it comes to sleep. But I will say with Nine of Swords reversed, it's usually a lessening of stress and seeing through the facade and understanding what you need to do to be healthier and happier. Some of you might just want to walk away from a stressful situation because for some of you, this could be work or a relationship and you're tired of being in this web of stress or anxiety. And that's good. It's good that you're seeing through that because the Devil card was reversed and the Nine of Swords are reversed. So this is a week of clearing and cleaning, and it's very much aligned to the topical choice that everybody selected. So thanks for choosing correctly. You guys always do choose the best topic associated with the energy of the cards. All right, let's go from Earth to air. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, you're actually having a decent week, and I'm happy for you for this. We have the Ten of Cups here, which is showing favorable relationship energy and partnership energy. It doesn't have to always be love. A lot of times this can just be you coming together with other people in unexpected yet positive ways. So if somebody says, let's meet up this week, you RSVP yes to that. Yes, exclamation point. It's a great time to ask someone out, to propose an idea, to propose in general, anything that you're trying to get approved or anything that you want to have people receive positively, it's great. If you're trying to mend a bridge between you and a family member or a sibling, the Ten of Cups is great for that. And it's also just really good for calling in higher frequency relationships, which is one of the topics that I've had that's sometimes it's tied, sometimes it's lower on the list, but this is a great week for love for you, okay? I don't always talk about love, but when it comes through, yes, this is love, relationships, people, partnerships, all of that energy is coming through with this. So get out there, mix and mingle, and work on those sort of personal and interpersonal skills. It's going to be very important, okay? But I like the way you're showing up, and I think that you're coming through in a very sort of charismatic, attractive, and magnetic form this week, so use that to your advantage, okay? Good luck, air signs. I like what I see. Moving from air to water, this is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. We have self-confidence, self-worth, and healing, okay? So this is a week for all of that to happen. The card reverse is saying, I'm stepping away from this feeling of being not appreciated or underappreciated. I'm tired of being underrepresented or undervalued. Instead, I'm going to speak up and ask for what it is that I need. I'm going to walk towards that open heart, that open hand, that open door. I love that we see sort of like the church door or the mosque door, whatever kind of like sanctuary that you want to imagine in the Five of Pentacles, because it's always there. And this is saying, I am ready to receive the love, the support, and it could be from a different person. We might be, historically, you're always looking at that from your family or the people closest to you, sometimes teachers or bosses. But as we get older, we realize that love and family, they come in different packages. And there's the chosen family or the cosmic family that we all find. Apollo behind me is part of that. I'm going to find the traditional card while we're talking, and I just did. So this is your traditional Five of Pentacles, and we see here the sanctuary behind the two people, and we also see two people that aren't looking at each other or aren't connecting. So your number one opportunity this week is to, if you need help, ask for help. If you see someone else that needs help, reach out to them. And the key thing here is to realize that it's okay to receive love, to receive support, positive feedback, and if someone has an open door, to walk through that door. If they've said time and again, if you need me, call. This is your time to do that. A couple of other notes that I want to unpack with the Five of Pentacles, and then we'll move on to the next portion. This is a time to make sure that if there's anything that's going on where you are feeling a sort of tape playing in your head that's saying, I can't, I won't, it never, some of those sort of restrictive words, that you're really working on reprogramming that. Thinking instead, why can't I do that? Or this can happen and I'm going to do this to make it happen. Really thinking in active, affirmative, and action-oriented sort of sentences in your head. And if there's anything that is making you feel afraid, if there's anything that you can't sort of get out of your head, talk to someone else so that you find a way to work past those self-worth things, because that's going to pop up in ways that are, again, unexpected. It could play out in relationships. It could play out in your finances. And so the more that you advocate for your worth, the more that people are going to recognize that. And again, you never know until you ask. everything that I see this week is pointing, especially as we go towards the end of the week, towards the ability to get what you're looking for. So the lesson this week is, if you push, if you ask, if you really are persistent with that, you're going to make headway. You're going to be able to see a dent in that, and that is a good thing. For the reader's choice this week, there are 2 cards that jump out because they repeated. The 9 of Pentacles in Saturday's position and also in the block. As I said earlier, this card is really about opening up to even more abundance and more than one way to do things. So let's see how we can get unblocked, how we can increase that energetic connection to abundance, and maybe ask for help if we need it. Let's just see what the message is about it. Why did it repeat? Why did it show up in a block? Why did it show up reversed twice? So let's see what the message is from Spirit with respect to 9 of Pentacles for this week. 10 of Swords in reverse. What an important message this is. So here's what I'm picking up on with this. If you had any setback in your past, in your history, this does not define you. This does not mean that you are stuck in a cycle by any means, but there's still a little bit of healing to be done. So this could have been a rejection in a career path. Maybe for those of you that are artistic, you tried to put something out there and the world just didn't understand it. Maybe you applied for a job, didn't get what you wanted. Maybe you were passed over for a promotion or you got laid off. There's so many different ways that rejection can take a shape or form. But this is basically saying it was there in your life so that you would move in another direction. Notice how she is completely free of pain in this card, and she is not tethered like a typical 10 of Swords would be with all those swords in it, in her body. She's basically saying, thank you for helping me see that that wasn't the right moment, that wasn't the right person, and it hurt, but it didn't define me, and it didn't stop me. In fact, it inspired me to move higher and stronger and with more speed and vigor in a different direction. This, my friends, is the cliffhanger that I saw. And it's saying if you can push through this feeling like it's not going to happen or that defined me, then you are going to be so surprised by what's on the horizon. This is the dawn after the dark night of the soul. The typical 10 of Swords indicates that you're going through it. I'm going to pull it up while we're talking because we need to look at the vivid difference in the imagery in these 2 cards. Or the 2 different interpretations of the card, I should say. Okay, so here's your traditional 10 of Swords. In this illustration, we see that the night has just shifted to day, but the person is still holding the pain. We see all of the swords here. Usually you see a little bit of blood on the ground, and it's still that feeling of, I need to heal from this. It still is fresh. But this card that came through for the question for this week is saying, I'm already walking into that new dawn. That beautiful light that we see here, she's walking into that new day and she says, I am finished with the lesson. I've learned what I needed to learn. I still may have momentary feelings of anxiety or PTSD where I think back to how that felt, but I'm more engaged and more curious about what's next. I want to see what's on the horizon, the rainbow after the rainstorm. And she's choosing also, wisely so, not to walk back into the web of deception, of someone trying to push your buttons, of temptation. She's learned her lesson. And this week, when it comes to 9 of Pentacles, let's associate this with all that we just talked about. One failure or one setback cannot stop the growth and the abundance that you are now about to experience. If you're willing to look towards the energy of the sun, you're going to receive more abundance, more opportunity. And by sun, I mean the possibilities, the sunny side of this equation. Yeah, you didn't get exactly what you wanted here, but something better is waiting. Push or pull yourself into that new category, that new sort of horizon, and see what's waiting. It's going to be worth the energetic shift that you're experiencing, okay? Better days are ahead. And you are tracking exactly where you need to be tracking. Any sort of pause or setback or rejection was, again, I'm going to make merch eventually with this, but it's basically protection and redirection, all right? So you're exactly where you need to be. All right, now it is time for the special topic. Again, the special topic today is no more drama, how to clear old cords and old karma from your life. Let's go ahead and begin giving the cards a nice good shuffle here. And again, this is for the not just the next week. I would say this can help you through the next 6 to 8 weeks like any of my main Celtic cross spreads can. All right, give me a moment here to pull all the cards, and then we'll take a look at this special topic. I love this deck, but I've never not pulled 2 cards when I use it. All right, folks, let's take a look at your catalyst card for this special topic today. And the catalyst, we have 2, and I like that because that's going to help us with, we'll do it in the order here. One is for cords, one is for karma. So the energy around cord cutting has to do with understanding that you are connected to source. You are the one that's going to make things happen. And, there's that old song from Greece where it says, "You're the one that I love." But you have to realize that you're the one that you love. That would be sort of like the ascended version of that, which is self-love, self-acceptance, self-respect, self-confidence is going to help you out in this moment in time. So again, looking at the old cords in your life, there could be people that you attached to and you thought, that was the one that was supposed to be there to support me financially. This is the person that should have been there to morally support me. When it comes to love and unconditional acceptance, this person should have been there. True on some sort of areas and some matters, but I would say at the end of the day, you are the one that is going to be left standing and supporting yourself. This is true. You come into this world as a single soul. You're going to leave this world the same way, and you're going to judge yourself through your own actions and your impact that you had on other people. So accountability, confidence, acceptance, and love from yourself to yourself. This is really what it's about right now. That is going to single-handedly help you cut cords with other people because you understand that they played a role. Sometimes it's to inspire, sometimes it's to push, sometimes it's to trigger, like that devil card that we saw. But whatever the role was, it was all there in your highest good. And now you're the one that's going to decide what to do next and how much power they're going to continue to have. All right? The one can be the one, the creator that we all co-create with. It can be your higher self. It can also be an understanding that you are not alone just because you are not coupled with someone. You always have the support of your higher self, your ancestral energy, your guides, and God itself. So You are one and you are everything, okay? That's a beautiful kind of message that's coming through here. And the world began connected. This is kind of interesting. If you think of the theory of the Big Bang, all that energy, all that matter was one, and then it scattered. And it feels like we spend our whole lives trying to reconnect with all that scattered energy. But the truth of the matter is you still have everything you need here. And when you meet other people, you can reconnect with that. But I think because of the sort of energy of scattering, we're always feeling like if we're just with someone else, that's going to make us feel like we're whole again. So the message here is you're already whole. And when you meet up with other people, it's a great reunion, but it doesn't define you. That connection with someone else is a reflection. It's a lesson. It's beautiful. But you in and of yourself have always been enough. Okay? And we've been taught and pushed in media and culture that there are other ways that, like, we're not enough. We have to be, in a certain job. We have to do a certain thing. We should be in a partnership. And if all of these things aren't aligning perfectly, somehow we're not enough. So the first message to cut cords is you've always been enough. And if anyone in your life hasn't been enough for you, realize that they too may be dealing with that same energy. So focus on yourself, focus on your wholeness, WHOLE, that you are whole, that you are enough, okay? And now when we look at karmic energy, we have the energy between mother and child, the womb coming through. Also the divine feminine, which is in a large way trying to recover, trying to rebound in this particular moment in time, because it has been underrepresented, it has been pushed to the side. So all of us can connect with that divine feminine. The problem is that we have to also heal the divine masculine. All the young boys that are coming into the world, we need to teach them that it's okay to be sensitive, that it's okay to be creative, that it's okay to connect with this energy as well, for this divine feminine to come to the sort of equal footing that it needs to have. So for many of you, relationships with women, relationships with your own sort of sensitivity in your divine feminine side, this is where a lot of the healing can be done. And we'll look at the cards here to see how that's going to kind of factor out here. All right, let's pull the camera down, take a look at everything, starting off with the two center cards. So we actually have an ancestral card here, smack dab in the center. The ancestor in this deck is actually the high priest or the Hierophant. And it's basically saying, I am not my parents. I am not stuck doing things the way that they did. I'm not stuck doing things the way that society did. I'm my own person, and I march to the beat of my own drum. It's really cool that we see the ancestor kind of beating this drum in this own rhythm. And so march to the beat of your own drum. That's what this is really about in this moment in time. And for those of you like me that no longer have parents on this planet, know that they are still there cheering for you. And if there was a weird relationship that you had, you don't need that anymore. You are enough. So we see this energy of wholeness and then rebirth, because that's also what the womb represents. And it's so cool that we see both this sort of energy of life here and then also the life here in the center. So this is beautiful. And what we're seeing here is that you're almost getting a nod or permission or encouragement from not just your parents, but your ancestors to be yourself, to do what you need to be, to do what you need to do rather, and be who you need to be. This is one of the most unique devil cards in any deck here. So we have the Guardian standing in front of this doorway, and kind of reminds me of the skeleton that we all have in our closets. Usually there's something that we haven't fully integrated or dealt with. There can be a fear or an anxiety that's projected there from our family or our society. And what I love about the way this devil is illustrated is it's nothing but a bunch of bones. And there's nothing to be afraid of. Everybody has something that they are afraid of being judged about or that they haven't fully kind of dealt with. And this is your moment in time to let that be and say thank you again for the lesson there. I'm no longer afraid of this because just like we saw, I'm ready to lift myself up and go to the next horizon. Or in this case, I'm ready to walk through that door. This shadow of the past or shadow of fear is holding you back. And the devil in this case is a limiting thought. I am afraid that if I do this, this will happen. I am afraid that if I don't succeed or if I do succeed, then I have to face this fear. So this is really about overcoming fear. And for some of you, the fear is that you are repeating the energy of your family or your ancestors. Your cycle stops here and now. You are you. You are not them. They came. This is how one of my yoga teachers kind of set this up, and I liked it. Imagine that your parents are almost like an elevator, or you could imagine them as a delivery person. I mean, they do deliver you, but basically they're here to receive the soul and to set it on its way. But they are not everything, and their experiences, they kind of shape who we start to become, but we decide if that's the path that we want to be on, okay? So we get a little bit of their life and their experiences because they're the first major relationships that we form. Mother and father, or father and father, mother and mother. But parents basically are the first major relationships that we have. But after that, it's all up to you. You don't have to, if anything, you can learn what not to do from them. They don't always teach you what to do. So this is your chance to say, I'm going to take a different path. I imagine myself as something different. I'm going to be reborn. I'm going to reforge or recreate my path. And that's it. And that's basically a very powerful piece. I say that's it, but that's kind of profound. So you are not your parents, you are not stuck on that path, and you don't have to do what they said you needed to do just because it was their opinion, okay? Let's look at your deep past, again, looking through the lens of cutting cords and karma. So the World card in reverse, for some of you, you could feel like it's a little bit scary to start anew, that in the past, you might have been very attached to a person, a place, a thing, or a title. And it felt like letting go of that, just like we saw with the Four of Pentacles that came through in the midweek point. Letting go of that could mean, who am I? Who am I if I'm not a boyfriend or girlfriend or a teacher or, this or that, a parent? We all go through these sort of identity crises at various points in our life. This is saying that it isn't an end, it's a beginning. You might be lost in the maze here, but there is that door, and at that door stands the shadow of fear or the shadow of doubt, because this could be just the zoomed in version of this. And once you go through that door, though, then you're on the other side, which is the Fool. It's a new beginning. Give yourself time. We actually see time represented by the 4 seasons. We just crossed into a new season, either fall or spring, depending on which hemisphere you're in. And so give yourself at least, I would say, another 2 to 3 months here to feel like you've settled into whatever it is that you're trying to do. You will feel like a different person by the end of this year. By the time we go from December to January, you're going to feel like, wow, I didn't know that it could feel like this, or I didn't know I'd be able to get through that. For some of you, it's going to be easy. For some of you, it's a little bit of a push, but just allow yourself the time to grow and the time to be. For some of you, there's a need to just kind of be still in this period so that you can integrate, so that you can heal, okay? The World card in reverse can also indicate, for some of you, a need to move away from maybe a place of habitation, or again, it could also be a job, because this is too closely connected to the past, whether it's your parents or it's something that's feeling like it's too suffocating, because the Hierophant can also indicate a traditional way of doing something, and a structure like a business or a school or church or something that's very regimented. And for you, you might be feeling like, I need room to breathe, and that's okay. So your world may feel a little topsy-turvy for a bit, but as we get into the recent past, we have the 9 of Swords reverse, which is also saying, I am doing this so that I can get past this feeling of being stressed out or having fear or anxiety in my life. This is a really beautiful version. Sorry, let me pull it back here. This is a very beautiful version of the 9 of Swords, because traditionally, 9 of Swords, as you saw, would show a person at night, hands in head, and we saw like all of those sort of voices and energies whispering to him. What she's doing here is picking up the pieces. She's saying, each one of these setbacks, each one of these fears has served me in some way. I'm now ready to collect all of these arrows and focus on something else, because this isn't worth my time and energy. And that's really what we see. This is in the past. All of these things are kind of like foundational cards to where you're headed. And so this does not define you. So this is actually already showing a little bit of healing. We saw the Ten of Swords before coming through to help us clarify blocks in prosperity. So the Nine of Swords in the recent past is showing me some of you are taking a step back and trying to understand how you got there. And with this particular illustration, you're picking up the pieces and you're now deciding to redirect. And as we look at the crowning card here, we have 10 of Cups coming through yet again. You're choosing the path of happiness, fulfillment, friends, family, and for many of you, you're moving into something new. So you can't stop this once it starts to kind of come through. Once you've had a taste of something that makes you happy, it's hard to go backward. So for some of you, you denied yourself maybe dating who you wanted to date, doing what you wanted to do professionally, living where you wanted to live, because there could have been someone in your past that stood in the doorway saying, you can't do that, it's not right, you have to stay here. Or you could have been limiting yourself, thinking if I try this, I might not succeed. Here's what I see. The minute you allow yourself to follow your heart, we see this overwhelming outpouring sort of energy of support, of happiness, of love. This card is saying in this period of time, not just the next 7 days, but the next month or so, it's going to be increasingly important to focus on core relationships that matter to you. This could be finding love, connecting more with friends and developing those sort of relationships, healing relationships with family. But I see love with a capital L being a central focus. You're also coming through, and this may be odd to hear, but you're coming through as very lovable, as very attractive, as very magnetic. So if someone comes up to you and they offer you something, again, it could be a job, or they flirt with you and they let you know that they think you're beautiful or appealing in some way, shape, or form, rather than going down the path of being overly modest or pushing it back or walking away from that, entertain the possibility that they're seeing something of value, maybe something that you don't see yet, and embrace that and see where that takes you. Because what I see is that this could be a pivotal breakthrough for many of you with the 10 of Cups. And choose happiness. If in the past you prioritized other people's happiness first, allow yourself to be just as happy as they are. Because you have to lead by example. You have to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So this is your chance to experience love and abundance in the highest forms. Focusing on the near future here, we have 10 of Pentacles. You got two of the best cards here, 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles. This is people that love you. These are opportunities that are opening up to you. This one's a little bit interesting. What I kind of love here is that we have a story here. So in the deep past, we can see this feeling lost, like what am I if I'm not what I thought I was? How do I get to this door? Then we see you facing a fear at the doorway. Here, the guardian, right? The devil. And then once you overcome the fear, you're looking through the door at the other side, and there's more inviting opportunities here. We actually see home. You find a new home. You find a new place to be. This card is reversed, which tells me a couple of things. First of all, where you end up isn't exactly where you pictured yourself. You may be taking that winding path that I saw in dreams last night. The other thing that it could mean is that something could land in your lap at an inopportune or unexpected time. When you're least expecting love, it could come knocking. When you least expect a job opportunity to land in your lap, it could come into your lap because you've decided I'm happy here, or I'm going to focus on relationships. Whatever your focus is, from the periphery comes a new opportunity, either love or money or something else that's engaging you. And this is going to be the sort of tug of war between people and property or money or obligations. And so you're going to have to find this new balance in your life. How am I going to do both of these things? It's actually kind of a nice problem to have. You could have an overabundance. In this case, both love and opportunity. Okay? The love is the one that's a little bit harder to harness. The opportunity is one more where it's knocking or inviting you, and then you're going to have to balance out the relationship component of it. With the 10 of Pentacles in reverse, you could also be asked to take a look at the sort of foundational elements in your life. Are you happy with your job? Are you happy where you're living? Are you happy with your finances? Is there anything that you want to firm up a little bit? Do you want to take something and move the resource around a little bit? Some of you might be deciding to sell a house, for instance, because this in reverse can be sort of liquidation or trying to find a way to, if you've extended yourself as well, the Ten of Pentacles can indicate that, and you need to do a course correction. So maybe selling some things you don't need or cutting back on spending a little bit. So there's a couple of ways to look at that, but something about resources needs to be balanced out a bit or needs to be prioritized a bit, and you'll figure out how to do that. Looking at it again through the lens of karma and old cords, a couple of messages here. So again, you're not your family, and if they've had problems in the past paying bills, or if home ownership is really important to you, I see you being able to establish a firmer foundation, okay? Because this was connected to family, but you've made better connections and you have a better grounding when it comes to all of this. So trust in that, and you'll be led on a better path here. Now, as we take a look at you and how you're showing up right now, you're ready for love. You're ready for fun. We have one of the most playful kind of totems we could get here. We have the otter. I love otters because they're able to navigate different elements, namely earth and water. So you're able to ground yourself, but you're also able to show a more irreverent, a more playful, a more emotional side of yourself. And I talked about that earlier, needing to connect more with the divine feminine. So don't be afraid to show your true colors, to have a little bit of fun, to wear your heart on your sleeve when the time is right, because it's going to let people know that you're engaged, that you're in this to sort of win it and to see it through to the end, okay? But this is a really good time, by the way. I have to say, this week and this month is opening up partnership opportunities. We can't ignore it when you have both, three cards, 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups, all in a diagonal here. So this is where your head's at, this is what's coming through, and this is how you're showing up. Very, very favorable for love and relationships. Let's get the rest of the story and see what's going on. We'll take a look now at your environmental card. We have the Magician, or in this deck, it's called the Shaman. The Shaman came through reversed. So one of your challenges right now is focusing and believing, because the Magician is empowered if and only if he believes in his power, in his knowledge, in his skills. So self-confidence and trusting your instincts is so important right now. And again, this is the number one thing that you could do to cut karmic energy that, again, if in the past people told you you couldn't do it, the Magician or the Shaman is the antithesis to that. He or she can do anything that they set their mind to. So first thing is understanding that you have the power, you have the capacity. And when we're looking at cutting cords, if there's anyone in your life that comes through and they try to manipulate you or try to disenfranchise you or try to distract you, that's where you want to cut the cords there as well. For you, this is your time to focus, to believe, and to really push your energy into investing, like I said before, in something where you really feel that sense of return. Like it inspires you, it engages you, and it engages others because of that, okay? Looking at hopes, fears, and opportunities, we have the Three of Cups. Again, so much energy coming through right now for people that are interested in you. Love, partnerships, and things of that nature. It's all good. I see people coming into your life. With this one, we see a kind of interesting energy here. Community and celebration are always a part of the Three of Cups. So I see it as a good news card, especially when it's in opportunities. There could be unexpected praise or positive word of mouth coming your way. When it's in opportunities, it's basically saying people are talking and it's positive. There could be someone that wants to date you, more than one person that wants to date you. There could be more than one offer on the table professionally. The only thing that you want to ever avoid with the Three of Cups is saying something that you don't want to get out there. Because if you say something in confidence, just expect that there's a possibility that that person could say it to someone else. There's going to be sort of this chain reaction that will happen. So be mindful of what you say. Make sure that if you say it, it's positive, and if you say it and it gets back to the source, it's not going to reflect poorly upon you. Other than that, I like what I see. The other thing that this is coming through and kind of questioning, and we'll look at this more when we look at relationships, is where do you stand? Because there is always a question of commitment with this. This is about exploring options. So some of you that have been stuck in one relationship or one job or one way of thinking or being for a while, this card comes knocking and says, hey, have you thought about this, or have you thought about that? And it's really asking you where you want to be in the long run. It doesn't necessarily represent temptation. It can just be a different thought and more of a question of, am I still engaged? So you might need to rekindle or revisit or realign to your initial goal or your initial purpose. But once you get into that, things should be in a good space. This is also saying celebrate each and every moment, each and every success that you make and that you accomplish, rather than waiting for one big thing. So if you're focusing on graduation, but you're two years away from it, every time you do well in a class, every time you continue to show up and do what you say you're going to do, that's something to celebrate. It's the little successes, because the diploma itself is anticlimactic. A lot of times when you go on stage, it's just a blank paper and they mail it to you later. So there's even parts of that aren't exactly the way that you think that they're going to be. So know that it's this moment in time and it's succeeding and showing up. Those are the things to celebrate. And those are the little successes that lead to the big success on the horizon. Looking at the outcome card, we have the King of Swords in reverse. Very nice alignment to what I talked about in the channeled messages. I think what you're really being guided to do in this moment in time is to find your voice, take some action. Let's revisit the cards before we do the expanded forecast and see what it is that you need to act upon. So for some of you, I think that the main thing is there's a decision here. Is this enough for me, or do I want to go in a different path? So commitment. You may be faced with someone who actually proposes or offers you something. And so whether it's a marriage or a job proposal, there's this momentary pause where you think, do I see myself here, or do I want to entertain other offers? And then you have to make a decision. So that's one path that I see here. The other thing that I see when it comes to speaking your mind, it could be about you saying, I want this. So you, rather than it landing in your lap, you could say, I'm torn between this, but this is what I want, or this is what I want, and I'm going to speak up. So people may be waiting, or they may actually ask you that question. But either way, the sooner you can kind of articulate what it is that you want, the easier it's going to be, and the more that people are going to respect you, and the more that you can open up more doors here. When it comes to things to walk away, there is temptation here. There is limitation from the past or from people that have been projecting it upon you. So you're going to speak up against that, and you're going to advocate for yourself. That's the main thing that I'm seeing here. Okay, let's expand the forecast now. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these is going to help us a little bit more. And with each of them, I'm going to look at two things, which again is going to be cords and karma. And this is where we're really going to take that fine lens and see what's going on. All right, so for the health card, we have what I would actually interpret as another magician card here. So in some decks, the witch or the shaman or the wizard would be the magician. So we have white witch here, which is basically saying be the light, and magic is magic. I actually wrote this in my book. Magic isn't light or dark. It's the person that works with the magic that brings the light or dark to it. So really what we're seeing here is just bringing the highest possible energy to any situation. And so when it comes to health, that's going to be the key, is how can I see this as a benefit? Something like this where I have a fracture. It's actually healing pretty nicely. So thank you for all the well wishes. But what I saw it as was just a necessary pause to take care of myself, to spend some time with my dog, to not just jump into the next situation. It forced me to slow down. So that's the silver lining. Sometimes we just have to take what comes to us and make lemonade, right? So try to find the light, try to find the positivity, and that's going to help you see things from a better perspective. So let's take a look at the Celtic cross and see what additional messages are coming through. A quick reminder, as always, I'm not a doctor. I'm here as a medium and an intuitive to help you understand the options in front of you, but you can work with a professional if anything's going on in your body or your emotional state. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. One thing that I see here with the Three of Cups, it can be going to extremes. Over-medication, overindulgence, sometimes allowing something to trigger you too much in one way or another. So this is one clear warning sign that I see here. This is also temptation or limitation. So temptation to overindulge. This can also be a limitation, making you being sort of like afraid of positivity. So this is the first thing that I see, is working past the limitation or the temptation. The other thing is maybe fear of speaking or fear of opening up your throat chakra. And so for many of you, what happens if we close this down is we have more sensitivity here. So you can get sore throats. You could have the laryngitis, or there could be other things that kind of start to appear here. Even like the neck, you could have more tension kind of appearing there. So focus on saying what you need to say, even if you're speaking with just a friend, or if you want to go to a therapist, and kind of getting that out. The more you can open this, the more that this area is going to heal energetically as well. If you're experiencing anything in that space, obviously talk to a doctor, but energetically, that's where I can see one of the blocks coming through as well. Sleep. With the Nine of Swords in reverse, there could be a lack of sleep, a lack of quality of sleep, or there could be dream issues where either you're not getting enough REM sleep, or the dreams that you have are kind of waking you up. So again, focus on dealing with stress, and then working with a doctor if you need to regulate sleep patterns. Other than that, things actually are looking pretty darn good, I have to say. If you've just moved, give yourself time to settle. Make sure that I would say the first place that you should ever unpack is your bedroom. Make sure that that place feels really good, and then you can work on other parts of the house, because you need to feel safe and you need to be able to rest. So the bedroom should be the first thing. I would say like bedroom and bathroom, make sure that those are unpacked first, and then you can work your way around the house. All right. Other than that, things look pretty good when it comes to health, and I think that you're trending in the right direction here. There could be something this month though coming through that makes you kind of go back, look over your shoulder and think, do I want to go down that path again? And based on the cards that I see, the answer is no. You're going to go in the other direction and continue to work on all the sort of positive strides that you've made. Let's move from your health card to your wealth card. And we have Archangel Michael coming through here with one simple but powerful statement. You can do this. You can do it, actually. The interesting thing with this is it's basically saying external validation is nice, recognition is nice, acknowledgement is great, but you don't need it in order to be successful. And I think I didn't really understand that until I was self-employed, because once you own your own business, nobody's really there to validate you, not in the way that you're used to. There's no performance reviews, there's no title, and really your quote-unquote raise is just going to be in how much more business you can generate. So when it comes to our life in general, it's kind of nice to look at it through the lens of an entrepreneurial sort of approach, which is all of that stuff that we've been used to since we were kids. It doesn't really equate to what's real. It's more like, how do I feel about what I'm doing? Do I feel a sense that this is making an impact or a difference? Do I feel good about the hours spent, going back to the honey reference that we had with the channeled messages? Do I feel like this is worth its weight in gold? Because if it isn't, why are you doing it? So there is this sort of understanding that right now it's time to tune out of all of this other external stuff. So focus more on how you feel, and then focus more on the idea that if you feel good, not only can you do it, but you're allowed to do something. So this is also not just an encouragement like, yes, I can accomplish it. It's also an approval from your higher self, from God and the universe, saying, you can do this if you want to do this. You can do what you want to do. Like, that's an aha thing, right? An aha moment. Yes, you can physically and energetically do it, but also you are allowed, you are encouraged, you are entitled to be happy and to take a path that's all your own. This, my friends, may be the big moment in the reading. There's different times that I kind of stumble upon it, but I believe for many of you, this is the karmic moment where you are bringing your power back. And energetically, when we're looking at any of the chords, there could be people that want to hold you back because they're afraid to see what would happen if you go down this unexpected twist and turn. Okay? So don't be afraid. Now we're going to look at work and money and career from the idea that not just are you able, but also you're encouraged to go down some path that is unexpected. The twists and turns are exciting. So let's see what's coming through. Again, to the gatekeeper, we have two here. One that's saying no, and one that it wants you to do something different. So there's up to two different gatekeepers that you're going to go past and say, thank you, no. You're going to also overcome fear, and you're going to be willing to travel or move in order to make this happen. You'll meet a new group of people, you'll meet new experiences because of this shift, because of this understanding that I can, I will, I am, as we've been saying over the past 3 months. What I see opening up for you is an unexpected or a newfound home. Let's look at this card a little closer again. So we have to sometimes move away from one space in order to transplant ourselves. So that's really what this is transplanting your energy somewhere new and allowing yourself to put roots down. Don't judge something too quickly. As someone who has moved from coast to coast before, and I've also spent time overseas before, and now kind of in a period of movement, when I finally find my next space, you have to give it a while. You have to sort of give it 6 months to a year to decide, is this the right city for me, right? So termites notwithstanding, which was a different reason to move, if it's just sort of a feeling like you transferred for a job or for school, try to give it a full semester, 3 to 6 months before making a major shift or a major move. And you'll be happy that you did that, okay? It takes time to put down roots. And you're going to be okay, basically is what I see with this. Other energies coming through for you. Again, the ability to surprise yourself because maybe in the past, when you started to show that magic, when you started to show that ability, people made you focus on something more quote unquote practical. So thankfully, I didn't deal with that as much. If anything, I held myself back. I felt like I was worried about how I was going to make money if I went down a creative path, because I didn't see examples then of people that were entrepreneurs in my friend or family circle. And had I seen that, maybe I would have gone down that path from the get-go. But for you, I am seeing this sort of really broad spectrum of opportunities in front of you. So the magician is empowered, just like the high priestess, when he knows what he's doing. So today, this week, this next 7-day period, I'd really like you to focus on figuring that out. And if I remember from the spread, Friday's a really good day for planning, and so is next Sunday. Because we had the Wheel of Fortune and then I think it was the Two of Wands on those 2 days. So really focus on making a plan, putting it to action, and knowing that not only can you do it, but you're allowed to do this as well. Let's see if there's anything else that's coming through here. This is a jack of all trades, so many of you may be surprised at how able and also talented you are in multiple facets. So it really is about knowing that you can repackage and redirect your skills, and you're going to be really good at whatever you put your mind to. Word of mouth, and also for many of you, referrals are going to be key. So there might be someone that's able to take your resume somewhere that could talk you up, that could also open a door. The next big thing comes through a person that you know, or a person of a person that you know. So if you want or need something, communicate that to the people that you love and know the best, because someone may know someone, and that's what I see here as an opening for you. Most importantly, and this is going back to the special topic idea here, we have the King of Swords in reverse. And so for many of you, this is finally using your voice and also acting in a way that is aligned with the vision. And for some of you, you may have been told your whole life to speak softly, or to be quiet, or to not sort of like be so bold. This card is the antithesis of all of those. This is saying, speak up, be bold, and allow yourself to go where you need to go. So I really think that there is this sort of, emboldening energy, kind of like there's this flair and individuality that wants to come out for many of you. And this could be counter to, for some of you, it could be a more conservative family or culture because of the devil and the high priest or the Hierophant. because they want to kind of keep you in a box. So the big message here is that box doesn't exist for you. You are completely free of that, but then that requires you to imagine and to plan and to create something of your own sort of desire and making. Okay? And that's the big opportunity for you this month. But I love this sort of, this can overcome anything. By the way, and I almost glossed over this, and I'm glad I looked at it one more time. What is Archangel Michael doing but slaying the Guardian or the Devil card here and basically saying, we're done with that? Because traditionally, whenever you see an illustration of Michael, usually he's standing over top of the devil and is able to overcome even the biggest block or biggest fear, or in this case, the biggest darkness or shadow. So you absolutely, it's coming through in wealth and career. You're able to turn a new corner with respect to resources, okay? So it's really a decision to embrace that and to not allow yourself to feel limited anymore. Let's move on to love and relationships. And we have surrender here. What a beautiful card. This is actually very spiritual sort of energy. So one thing that I have found when it comes to connecting with God and the universe is once you've created a safe space, once you've said, like usually when I do a meditation or when I read cards, I put the archangels in the corner. I light the candles and I set the intention to connect with love, light, and the highest source. Once I've done that, I have the ability to sort of just open up the channel. And in spirituality, just like relationships, there is that sort of sense of I've done all the work. Now I can just receive. Now I can just be the Ace of Cups or the King of Cups, right? And allow for that love and that abundance to come through. So if you've done the work, if you've set the foundation in place, this is your chance to really just allow yourself to surrender and say, yes, I'm ready. The fact that it's reversed shows me that for many of you, especially as we look at Monday, because that's when that Ace card was coming through, and Tuesday, because we had another Court card in Cups coming through at that point, this will be the most challenging for you. For some of you, there could be a compliment coming through and it feels weird because you're not used to receiving compliments, or there could be an offer on the table and you have to discern, does this fit? Is this right for me? And that's the most important thing, is to figure out what's right for you. Let's take a look now at 3 different aspects that I like to look at. Those in a relationship, looking for a relationship, or single and happy. All right, focusing on those in an existing relationship. This is potentially where one of the biggest challenges could be. The Devil card and the 3 of Cups definitely are connected. The 3 of Cups isn't always like cheating or, a traditional third party. The third party can sometimes be work, for instance, like if you're married to work. It can be a family member that is trying to drive a wedge between you and your partner. It can even be a jealous friend that really doesn't like the fact that you're spending so much time with someone else. So there's someone or something that's presenting a little bit of a wedge, and you either see it with you and your partner, or it's something that pops up and you're going to resolve it. And the key thing here is to remember that the core relationship is between you and your partner. This third party, they really are kind of like digging in an area that they shouldn't be. So creating proper boundaries for the third party and reassuring your partner that that's not an issue, or letting your partner know that they need to establish boundaries with that person. Whatever it is, have a communication about that, and that's going to be one thing that some of you need to focus on resolving. Looking at the cards for some other messages, what I would say for some of you, you could have just landed in a new space and you might feel like it's hard for you to connect, because this can also be like this feeling of being trapped or cut off from friends. So whenever you move and you move away from that support system, it's going to be important to reestablish it. So for some of you that have just moved somewhere, maybe you followed your partner to a new city, then one of the things that both of you have to do is to find new networks. So this could be through, for some of you, worship, so you'll find a church or something in that kind of community to connect to. It could also be sports, or maybe through school. If your children are in school, you could also get involved in like parent-teacher associations, etc. So finding new ways to create new roots and new connections would be really important too, for those of you that just got transplanted somewhere new. One thing that I see with the Shaman, which is a magician card, which is all about that spark. Some of you are just missing that, and this has come up a couple of times over the past few collectives. So making sure that you're not neglecting. In this case, it is more about intimacy, and this would be physical intimacy for some of you. I remind people that intimacy is many things. This time it's coming through as physical intimacy. So if that's been something that's been put on the back burner, making sure that there is enough of that and that you guys are negotiating what both of you need and what both of your boundaries and comfort zones are with that. Because there is a lot of energy around love and playful energy with the Page of Cups and also with the Ten of Cups. So if you can reconnect on that level, that's going to be important. And finally, and most importantly here, one of you may have said something or done something, and I can see that that could be sitting with the other partner, and it's sort of like someone's holding a grudge or someone's feelings were hurt. I don't really think it was intentionally, but it's there. So that needs to be dealt with as well for some of you. So a few different things that you might be dealing with. The good news is if we look at the outcome card, it really focuses on open communication. The Ten of Pentacles, even though it's reversed, is still very good, and the Crowning card is still very good. And again, how you're showing up is good. So most of what I see here is the ability to talk your way through something or negotiate a good outcome. But the biggest block here is this question mark here. Like there could be a third party coming in, or there's a bigger question: is this where I still see myself? And that question of commitment or connection is only something that you and your partner are going to be able to talk about, but it is something that should be looked at if there's any sort of friction or frustration. You want to look at that. All right, focusing on those of you that are looking for love. There needs to be a little bit of work on self first, because the Devil card can show me that you may not be fully ready or available. You may also meet someone that is not readily available to enter into relationships. The Devil and the Three of Cups would definitely be someone who is maybe wanting to date, but they're still married, or they're getting a divorce, but it's not finalized, or they're on the rebound and they have this sense of fear of commitment because they don't want to get hurt again, or they're just not looking for love right now. So make sure that the person that you are seeing yourself with, that they're actually ready and they're willing to give you what you need. And vice versa. If you meet someone and they're into you, but you're not into them, make sure that you're communicative of that. One thing that I do see is that there's an opportunity for a lot of new energies to come into your life here with the Three of Cups. The one that seems the strongest is an air sign here, the King of Swords in reverse, very outspoken. So make sure you're cool with that. You're coming through a little bit more reserved here with the Page of Cups. I do see either a maturity or age gap with these two cards. So make sure that makes you, that you're comfortable with that. Let me see if there's anything else here. I think that's it. Some traditional values could be coming in for one of you. One is a little bit more outspoken or rebellious, and the other one's a little bit more traditional, so that could also be a challenge. I think the main thing for you to focus on is getting your grounding and really getting grounded in your finances as well, so that when you meet someone else, all of that's sorted out. You don't want to be bringing any baggage or any drama from the past in, and that's the main thing that I'm picking up there. If you're single and you're happy right now, I think it's a really good time to be single and happy. We see potential growth when it comes to career here. I also think, just generally speaking, for both single and looking and single and happy, networking should be a big part of what you're doing, because it will open a lot of doors. It's a great time for you to expand your social network, even if you're not dating these people. I see a lot of new people coming in, and people are interested in what you have to say. So this is a really good time to do some marketing, to get the word out there. I think some great things could come through. The last thing with surrender here is you can't force people to see you in a certain way, to accept your love, to accept you. And so when you surrender to the idea that this is who I am and kind of like take me or leave me, that's going to be when everything starts to fall in place. This person is surrendering to exactly their calling, their energy, and understanding that God and the universe has a plan, and that they don't have to force people to join with them in this plan if they don't want to. There's a peace when that happens, and then you have a way of pulling in people that are on the same frequency. Let's move from love to destiny. In the destiny space, we have a card titled Breadcrumbs of Bliss. Breadcrumbs, of course, can refer to a wayfinding sort of device. So in internet technology, breadcrumb menus are at the top or the bottom. They show you where you've come from and they allow you to trace your steps backwards. Same thing when we think historically of why you would leave the breadcrumbs in the forest. It was so you could find your way out. The thing with breadcrumbs is they can be overlooked. Sometimes they can be eaten up, and they're not always obvious. So when I'm looking at breadcrumbs of bliss, there could be opportunities for like celebration and happiness that we overlook. This is saying to you today, like I talked about earlier, make sure that you're doing something to have some fun. If you're working really hard and you have a chance to hang out with your family, to go see someone in an important event, or to just spend time with someone that you love, take a break. Do that. These little breadcrumbs ultimately in our whole lifetime are what make up our happiness, right? Don't see it as something that you can throw away. It's not a throwaway moment. So there are these little tiny glimmering moments that, just like the honey, they're worth their weight in gold. So take time to savor those breadcrumbs of bliss. They may seem small, but they're bigger than you think. So that's one thing, is to prioritize it. The other thing is to avoid filler in your life. When I think of breadcrumbs in a recipe, like in casserole, or even sometimes you can grind them up and use them to top things, it's usually a binding agent or a filling agent. And there may be too much filler in your life and not enough flavor, not enough really substantial energy. So if you're not savoring the moments, or if you're filling up a lot of time with things other than bliss and love and joy, then it's time to prioritize that. No more filler, basically. And pay attention to where the signs are leading you, because that's the wayfinding element of this. The smaller text on this one says, heed your pleasure principles. Someone liked Janet Jackson on that one. But pleasure, yes, it's important for you to be happy, for you to experience joy and love in your life. And a big part of the cards this month are about that. This is love, and this is love. And so this is your moment to feel love, joy, and happiness. And if you've been denied that, or you've been denying yourself that, then one of the big karmic opportunities for you is to open up to more than just the breadcrumbs. It should be the main entree. It should be the big dish, right? So I think that that's one big area of improvement for many of us, is to say, I deserve this. I'm ready for this. Yes, let's have a second helping of love and happiness and pleasure. All right. Now we're going to move on to the big idea. And as I've been doing for the past few weeks, we're going to take a look at past, present, and future opportunities. And specifically when it comes to and we'll just let the cards sort of dictate whether it's karma or whether it's a cord that needs to be cut. So let's go ahead and shuffle the cards and take a look at past, present, and future energies surrounding this special topic right now. All right. Past, present, future. Okay. So let's take a look at these, and I'll pull them in the right position for the camera. All right. So in the past, we have Three of Wands reversed. In the present, we have the Three of Swords. And then in the future, we have the King of Cups in reverse. So one by one, let's talk about these. So with the past, a couple of cool things here. With the Three of Wands, this is actually showing you that what you're trying to create, it actually was already closer than you thought. This can represent a missed opportunity, or it could represent inaction. So the thing that you're going to do to change your karmic approach, this is more about karma than cords, is to understand that you are in the now. Your thoughts are creating your reality. Your reaction to what's going on around you, especially if it's connected to stress, like a Three of Swords moment, it also is creating or re-emphasizing or reinforcing that reality. So you have the capacity right now to turn things on a dime with a thought, with also your action. So thoughts and actions are quickly creating tomorrow's better future, okay? So the Three of Wands is still with you. Always look for the positive, always look for the opportunity. It's always been with you, and you've always been deserving of, the ability to manifest and do something better than you thought you could do, okay? So that's one thing I can see, is like maybe a missed opportunity because of a lack of being present, or a doubt that you deserved that something came through. Remember what Archangel Michael said, which is you can do it, which is both about your ability and also that you are entitled to do something if you want to. Right now could be challenging for many of you. The Three of Swords is coming through to remind you that this is not a permanent state. You could be looking at someone else. The caption on this one reads jealousy. So you could be looking at someone else's life or circumstances and thinking, why? Why not me? Why can't I have that? Or someone could be looking at you and making you feel bad about the accomplishment that you just were able to create. Either way, jealousy can be turned around into inspiration. So if you look at someone else and you wish you had that, then use that energy to inform how you could take some action in your life to create the movement that you desire. If someone around you is jealous, then that's really on them. You don't have to worry so much about that. Keep focusing on what you're doing. Now, healing is also really important right now. So if you've been going through a loss or disappointment, give yourself time to heal. Really sort of know that it's so important. And I talked, I think a couple days ago about the power of tears and the importance of being in touch with your emotions. It's going to allow you to transmute, transform, and to walk away from things that no longer suit you. Now is the time to know that if Three of Swords energy is coming in, you don't have any more room in your life for people, places, and things that are fostering that, okay? It's time for healing. And then we have the King of Cups in reverse in the future, which is saying, for many of you, increased sensitivity, increased creativity, and by the way, there could be love coming in the future as well. The question for you is, are you ready? And when we're looking at karma and cords here, the karma of the King of Cups in reverse is basically knowing that you can take this on. Emotionally, there could be doubt. Will I be able to handle this? The King of Cups can handle it. Now, karmically, there could also be this sort of historical thing in your family where emotion was pushed under the surface. So I would also say you are allowed to feel whatever you're feeling, but the question is, what are you going to do about it? There's an action-based piece to this because we also got the King of Swords. So this could represent the partnership, and this also represents the two things to focus on, which are I feel this way, and I'm going to do this because I feel this way. So thought and action. And basically, this is what's going to be able to create movement in your life. Okay? The other thing when we're looking at cords in your life, there could be a very strong familial figure or even partner in your life where they need more than you can give. And it's okay for you to create a limit there or a boundary on how much, how often, or even if you want to continue doing what you're doing as far as how much you're giving. Because you matter in this equation too. And if there's anyone in your life whom you need to cut a cord with because of that, it's okay. Because you deserve to be happy too. All right? And that's what I'm seeing past, present, and future coming through. I really like the past energy because it's showing me what's always been possible, which is movement and growth and manifestation. Okay? So those are the cards that comprise the big idea. And that brings us to the final portion of this reading. We've been through all the major parts, and we're going to move on to the meditation and the sound bath, followed by the final card. So before I get into any of that, if you've never done one of these readings before, think about a question that you might have for me that I haven't had an opportunity to cover so far. This could be something very specific. It could be a yes, no. You could just be opening yourself up to general advice from the universe. So go ahead and scribble that down or tap it in your phone or just hold it in your thoughts while we meditate. As I look at all the cards in front of us today, I really want to work at moving beyond limitations because we have like two different gatekeepers here. And then we have this open gate. And this is really what I want us to meditate on. Imagine now that you are standing at a vista that is beyond the gatekeeper. And the only thing that's left to do is to step or move forward. Let's take a few moments to tune into the body. And then I want you to imagine what exists beyond the gate. What's coming next, and to really allow you to also put down some roots or feel the earth beneath you. So we'll work on all of that together. All right, so first things first, imagine that you are standing in this doorway. It is bright daylight on the other side, but you're currently kind of in this cool space underneath the arches here. You've just come out of a cave, there's this beautiful archway, and you can feel the warm sun shining down on you. But take a moment to really feel the stability of the arches. Take a moment to plant your feet in the ground, and in this moment in time, really feel connected, feel strong, and know that you've been through the roughest part of this journey. Now it's smooth sailing. Now you can follow the signs and signals that are in front of you, and you can just see things getting better, brighter, warmer, and more inviting. Take a few deep breaths. Allow your posture to sort of like improve with each breath. Imagine that as you breathe, there's a string of light that kind of gets tightened and pulled up a little bit, allowing all of your energy, all of your posture to also improve. So a nice deep breath, inhale. On the exhale, release anything that has been holding you down or been weighing you down in this case. And on the next inhale, I want you to imagine that you're bringing in beautiful golden colored light from the sun that's shining around you. And allow yourself to be as light as a feather with each breath that you take, so that you are able to move beyond this perceived boundary. And with each step that you take, you feel lighter and brighter and more a part of the world around you. Until you actually have this ability to take flight, you're no longer tethered to just the earthly plane. But before you take flight, one last step, really feel that you have earned this opportunity to be where you're at, and now see yourself being also able and willing and capable of taking flight and going to the next part of the journey. So before, where we saw you sort of struggling to get up over a hill or over a cliff, now I want you to spread out your wings and take a look at the destination and allow yourself to glide easily to the next part of the journey. And as I play the singing bowl here for a moment, I just want you to feel like it's easy sailing, that you're going from one point to the next point, and you're able to just drift like a bird who's already sort of set their sort of pattern and now can just sort of enjoy this journey. Let the wind hold you up, let your thoughts be free, and allow yourself to just feel a couple of key thoughts. 1, you are capable. 2, you are deserving. And 3, it's going to be a lot easier than it was before. It's all smooth sailing from here on out. Keep breathing. I'm going to grab the singing bowl. We'll play that for a moment, and then I'll look at your final thought or your final card. Allow yourself now to glide like a plane gently into this final destination, feeling like you've got your feet on the ground, but at any point if you had to make a course correction or had to take flight again, you could do that. Things are going to be easier. You're able to land without the same difficulty that you had in the past, and you are capable and ready, flexible, and able to do all that you set your mind to. Open your eyes on the next natural exhale and focus on your final question that you have for me. This can be anything that I haven't covered so far. Just think it out loud before you type it, and let's pull a card and see what's coming through for you. Okay? Let's see what the universe has to share or show us with respect to this final question. So the card that came through for you was the Blasted Oak, which in this deck is the Tower. And the Tower has with it a couple of interesting messages for those of you that asked yes, no. If you're asking, should I do something new? The Tower is saying, no, don't do something new while there's already changes happening. So that's the main message here, is that this is a period of movement and shifting. As I always say with the Tower, you have a choice to ride the energy of change, and you should do that first. So if change is happening, you have to participate, acknowledge, and understand the change. Before you start something new, the dust needs to settle. And I think that's the most important message right now, is to assess what's going on, to allow for change to take place, and allow for the dust to settle. This is an affirmative card when it comes to movement. So for those of you that are wondering, is it time to move? Is it time for a change? Yes, there's acknowledgement with that. It's already happening. And it's really a question of, what do I do about the change? So connect with the people around you, figure out what's going on, figure out where you stand, and speak up in respect to that. Because you're in the middle of movement, changing energy, and all you have to decide is how and where you're going to plug into that. Okay? And again, in respect to starting something new, wait until the latter portion of this month or even next month, because I feel like there's a lot of opportunity over the next week or two to ride this current wave of change before you start anything fresh. Okay? I hope that answers the question there. This is also a card of cleaning up messes. We talked about that way at the beginning of this reading. So this is definitely saying if there's something that needs to be dealt with, that should be handled right now. Before you take a leap of faith, before you do anything big, figure out if you've got that security net in place. So have a contingency plan, factor in extra budget or extra time. You're going to be happy that you did, because you may need that. So this is basically rewarding planning and a little bit of conservative approach when it comes to how much and how often you're going to spend, okay? So those are all of the messages that came through with the Tower, but the Tower is also transformative, and it basically pushes us into changes that we need to make. So if you are in the middle of a big shift, you're going to be okay. Just watch where you're going. Try to embrace the change as much as you can, and try to educate yourself on how you got to this point. And I think that's going to help you out. All right. I tend to look at these as always, an opportunity card, even when they're challenging. So as long as you are aware and are a part of the change, good things should come through for you. All right, everyone. Before we wrap up today, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has shown support for this channel. Please continue to show some love with a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already done that. And you can follow me on other social media platforms if you'd like advice on or information on when new videos are coming out. Remember again that I never offer private readings, and I don't contact people through other platforms like WhatsApp. That's a big red flag. If you have shown support today, both Dakota and I have said thank you, but I'd like to take one last moment to say thank you so much for going above and beyond. And even if you can't show support in that way, just being here, being present, chatting with me, or talking later on, basically using the comments, I appreciate that. I do read each and every comment, so thank you so much. All the love and support that you guys have shown both this week and over the past 7+ years means the world to me. All right. Take care of yourselves. I will be posting the schedule for the coming week, but I will be starting off the new month tomorrow on the 3rd. We'll be doing Aries. So Monday the 3rd at 9 a.m. I'll be premiering as well. The way that premieres work is you'll probably see each morning that I do a reading, you'll get it a few hours before, or if I'm really ahead of it, you'll get it the night before. So keep an eye out. And again, this is another reason to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss the upcoming videos. All right. From me to you, I just want to say thank you so much. Lots of love and light. And Apollo's been napping here in the background, but lots of love from this little furry guy as well. All right, take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow as well. And in the meantime, be healthy, be happy, and have a great week ahead and a great month ahead. All right, guys, thanks so much. Bye-bye.